Uh, yeah. So we were looking at the way the data is handled. There's this dynamic data, static data, text, and result. So by now, I hope you guys understand that this is 32 bits and why this is 32 bits. Can anybody just refresh my memory why this is 32 bits?
Because we have to store 2 to the power 30 addresses, and each address will have 4
No,
bytes.
right. No, right. That's
I mean, sir, we have 2 to the power 30 address, and each address will have
no,
4
no,
bytes.
no, no, no. Can anybody correct that?
Registers instead of addresses.
No, right?
And each register has 32 bits, which is
No,
4
no,
bytes.
no,
So total 2 power 32
no. It's not register.
2 power 30 words.
2 power
words.
30 memory words.
Yeah, there are 2 power 30 memory words. I heard somebody saying 2 power 32 memory words. No, there are 2 power 30 memory words. So it is just the memory. So how many addresses do I have?
2 to the power 32.
Yeah, right. So why do you think that it's 2 power 30 addresses?
Sir,
See,
I
for
wanted to say this only, but
yeah. For memory, there is no. I mean, memory cannot understand anything about a word, right? So that's what we have been seeing. So when I draw this diagram, let's say I have this diagram, right? So I have 4 registers, and then there is this memory. So this memory is just bytes, like infinite number of bytes. Let's assume that there are huge number of bytes, right? So one after the other, so they're just bytes here. So this is just a byte. So when I generate an address, for what do I generate? So when I generate an address, for what do I generate? Is it for a byte or a word, or for what do I generate?
For a byte.
For a byte, right? So these are called registers. This is just memory. So I generate address for a byte. So when I generate an address, it is always for a byte. I don't know why. It's always for a byte. See, I understand that you guys, I mean, since data structures is also being taught, you might spend all your time on data structures because it's very exciting. But I can assure you that UNCO is exciting, but you have to spend time. I mean, if you don't spend time, there is no way that you will appreciate what. So I cannot keep repeating the same thing, right? So I don't know why you guys. Uh, so how many bytes are there here, right? So how many bytes are there? We said there are 2 power 30 words. In this system, the words is 4 bytes. So there are 2 power 32 bytes. So you need 2 power 32 addresses. Right? The memory system does not care whether you call word as 4 bytes, whether you call a word as 8 bytes. It is least bothered about it. It is just that we say that the word is 4 bytes here. But the memory system doesn't understand that. For the memory, it is always a byte. So when I generate an address, it is for a byte. If I read, it is for a byte. Of course, I can read 4 bytes, but the address that is generated, so there is an address generation for this address is different. Let's say this address 0. Okay, let's take this example, right? Let's take these 4 bytes. If you take these 4 bytes, even though they belong to a same word according to you, this has a different address. This one has a different address. 0x0 is different from this address, though they belong to the same byte. Right, but a bit inside that byte doesn't have a different address. Let's say I take this particular byte and there are 8 bits. You cannot have a bit address. So this bit, the address for this bit is not different from the address from this bit. You can generate a byte address. So when you generate an address, it is for a byte. Please keep that in mind. Whenever you generate an address, it is always for a byte. So how many bytes are there in this system? There are 2 power 32 bytes. So how many bits do I need to represent a 2 power 32? So if I have to represent 1 byte, how many bits do I need? So let's say I want to, okay, not even a byte. Let's say I want to represent 1 car. How many bits do I need? I just need 1 bit. If there are 2 cars, to differentiate between the 2 cars, how many bits do I need? I can name the car as 0, one car as 0, and another car as 1. So I need just 1 bit. If there are 3 cars, how many bits do I need? How many bits do I need? 2
2 bits.
bits. For 4 cars, how many 2 bits do I need? 2
2.
bits. So how are you getting this? What is the mathematical function here?
Log.
What log is it?
Log base 2.
2.
Yeah, so this I am taking log of base 2 to number of cars is equal to the number of bits that I need. So if I have 8 cars, I need 3 bits to differentiate. I name car 1 as 000, car 2 as 001, or whatever it is, right? So I have 2 power 32 cars. How many bits do I need? It is log of base 2 to 2 power 32, right? So these two cancel out. So I need 32 bits, right? So I need 32 bits. So that's why there are 32 bits when I am generating an address, because each byte is addressable. The memory is byte addressable. So even though you can generate an address and load 4 bytes at a time, each byte, even though the byte belongs to the same, I mean, even though there are 2 bytes which belong to the same word, they have different addresses. Please keep that in mind. Please don't repeat it again. Yeah, as I said, I know that data structures will take away most of your time, but you have to spend time on computer organization. So this is an important topic, not because I'm teaching. It's not even my research area, right? I don't even work in this area. But this is an important area, and this I keep saying, not just in. Is that clear? Does anybody have any doubt? Okay, let's assume that you are clear. Anyway, we'll come back to it again. I'll again bug you. Unless this goes into your mind, drills into your mind, I'll keep bugging you. That's how it will work. Okay. So how do I represent this instruction? We already saw that when we have this this guy just understands bits. So he just understands bit stream or bits. So I cannot say add T0, S1, S2. So I have to convert it into something called machine code, which means that it should be a stream of zeros and ones, right? So whatever, it can be some zeros and ones. So it should be a stream of zeros and ones, and he can understand only zeros and ones. So I have to convert this assembly code to machine code. In MIPS, this is the format of an instruction. So one of the formats of the instruction. So there are 2 types of instruction in MIPS. One is called R-type instruction. The other is called I-type instruction. We'll see both of them now. So the first type is R-type. So the R-type is divided into the 32 bits. The size of the instruction is 32 bits. So it is divided into 6 bits called operation or opcode. What opcode is that? Whether is it add, whether it is add or subtract or divide or multiply, whatever it is. So that is the opcode. We represent it using 6 bits. So how many different kinds of instructions can I represent using 6 bits of opcode? Different instructions.
2 power 6.
2 power 6, right? So this usually, because there are 6 bits, there are 2 power 6 types of instructions. Not types of instructions, 2 power 6 instructions, which are of different functionality that I can represent. Okay. And next, there are 5 bits for the source register. Whatever is the source register, the 5 bits for the another source register, and the 5 bits for the destination register. This will come very late in the class. This is called shift amount and the function. We will not worry about it for now. Let's assume that you already know what this is, but if you don't know, it's fine. So we are just concentrating on this set. So we are saying, when I want to convert this to this, I say what is or add in MIPS. The add in MIPS is all zeros. So that is the first instruction. And I am representing the first source. So this is my source. S1 is the first source. S1 using 1001. So how did I get 1001? Because the registers here, you can see that these are the number of registers that are available in MIPS. So I am representing S0. S0 value is 16. So I am converting that 16 to the bits. Okay. So did I? Okay, I think this is not.
Sir, source is S1, right?
Source is source is S1. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, source is S1. So it is 17. So I convert this 17 to 1001, right? So this is 16 plus 1, so 1001. So other source is 18 because S2 is 18, right? So you can see that S2 is 18. So I have to have 18 here, and the T0 is 8. So that's what I represent this instruction. I am not worried about this SHMT and function as such. So I put this as 0, 0, 0. Don't worry about these two values. Just concentrate on these three values. So you 4 values. So this is add S1, S2, and T0. So that's what I have used this table and converted this instruction into a machine opcode or machine code, right? So I'm converted into opcode and register values. So this instruction is now converted. This instruction is now converted into something called machine language. So the machine language says that it is a stream of zeros and ones. So how did I get the zeros and ones? I figured out that the opcode here, or the opcode here was add, and that add has so the add has 0, 0, 0. The add has 0, 0, 0, and S1 has 1001. S2 is, I can call S2 using 10010 because S2's value is 18, and T0 as 01000 because it is the value 8. So that's how I represent an instruction. So that is the R type instruction. There is one more type of instruction called I type instruction. The I type instruction says that I have a source, I have a destination, I have I have a source, and then I have a constant. So the constant is 16 bits. We'll see an example of this later. But before that, if by looking at it, you can say that it is 32 registers because it is 2 power 5. This you should not have it out by now. We'll see why 16 bits in one go. I thought I had an example. Okay. I think I did skip that example. I take this same thing, it's not confusing. Okay, so the one of the examples of an I type instruction is this. So this is one of the source, this is another source, and this is the constant. Okay. Now we are saying the constant is 16 bits. I hope you guys know what this means. What am I doing? I am taking 0 plus adding whatever was there into 2 and going to that memory location, and copying it into a register called T0. Right. So that this is load world. So I am loading a world where, how did I get the address of that world? I added 0. I added 0 because this is relative. So I added 0 plus whatever was there in T2. So if T2 had 3, then I would go to the third byte. If T2 was 4, let's say the T2 was 8, right? So let's say T2 was 8. Then which byte do I go? I go to the 8th byte. So here in this thing that we had, we go to the 8th byte. Somewhere here we go to the 8th byte. So if T2 was 8, we go to the 8th byte. So I do 8 plus 0. So it is 8th byte. So this means that I'm loading not 8, but I'm adding whatever is there in 8th byte. So this bracket means that in whatever is there. So I'm going to the memory, that is load world, because the way to access the memory is using stores and loads. An add instruction cannot access the memory directly. So I can access the memory using load word and store word. So because that load word will be, so this instruction will be given to that girl, and that girl will actually go and fetch the memory and give it back to you. So this is 0 plus T2. I add this, I go to the 8th byte, get that, and I store in T0. So how many bytes do I transfer here? So how many bytes do I transfer here? Yeah, any answer is fine. Yeah, go ahead. 4 bytes, right? So why did you say 4 bytes?
Each register is 32 bits long.
Not because of that. There is one more thing that should give away that it's 4 bytes. So what are you loading?
An entire
Answer.
word in the memory.
No. What is this instruction that I'm calling it as? I'm calling it as load word, right? So
You're loading.
I'm actually, I'm loading a whole word, and how many bytes is a word in this system? It is 4 bytes. So I am copying 4 bytes from here to here. So how does this work? So let's say I have something like this, and I have some memory bytes here that continues like this. Right. So let's say T2 was 4. And then I gave an instruction T0, 0 and $T2. Okay. So this is the 0th byte. This is the 0th byte. This is the first byte, not bit. It is the second byte, third byte, fourth byte, fifth byte, sixth byte, seventh byte. Right? So the first word, it is just, the memory doesn't understand that it is a word. For just for our understanding, we'll say that the first 4 bytes is one of the words, and the other byte is this. So other word is this. So now I am saying, I will first, what do? I add this 0 plus T2. So 0 plus 4 is 4. So now I am converting this instruction to T0, comma, whatever is there in the 4th byte. So what is there in the 4th byte means that I'm asking what is there here. But if I had said load, if I had just said load, this instruction is not there in MIPS, but let's say if I had only said load $T0 with 4, then only the first byte would have been fetched and kept in T0. The other bits would have been 0. But now I am saying load a word, which means that from here, I load an entire word, which means that I load 4 bytes of this data into this register. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I just load. Okay, where did this go? Just give me a second. The question got go. Just a second. For some reason it's not. Okay, if you have doubts, please let me know. I'm not able to create a poll, but if you have doubts here, let me know. So you're just loading a particular word into this. So that's why I'm calling it as load word. Okay, so now I know that this is, how many bits can I use this here? How many bits are, so how many bits is this value? Can you see here and tell me?
16 bits.
16 bits, right? So why are you guys taking, okay, I don't know what's the issue today. Yeah, please be active in class. If you're sleeping, ask somebody to get you a cup of coffee or something, or at least wash your face and come back. See, this I've already written that this is 16 bits. So this is a constant. So 16 bits. So I have 16 bits. So how many addresses can I generate using 16 bits?
2 per 16.
2 power 16. But how many bytes so how many bytes can I generate if, how many bytes can I access if I can generate 2 power 16 addresses?
2 per 16 bytes.
2 power 16 bytes, right? But how many bytes does this memory have?
2 per 32.
So then there's a problem, right? So how do I resolve this problem? So did you understand the question? See, what I'm saying here is it is 16 bits, right? So this is 16 bits. This is what is guiding what I fetch from. I can generate 2 power 16 addresses, which means that I can access 2 power 16 bytes. All right. So I have this, but how many bytes do I have here? I have 2 power 32. So I have 2 power 32 bytes. So this entire capacity is 2 power 32 bytes. Each byte is addressable. So I have 2 power 32 bytes. But I'm able to generate an address for 2 power 16 alone. So I am generating an address for 2 power 16 alone, which means that I can access only half of this, but I am not able to access half of this. So will you be okay with it? So you have plugged in a memory which is 2 power 32 bytes, but you are able to generate an address which is only 2 power 16. So where is the issue, or how do I solve this problem? Okay, so whoever answers this question will get a prize. I hope that is motivating enough to.
So the number that you put outside, like here you have 0 and then a bracket of $T2.
Yes.
So you can use that number to add and subtract, right?
Yeah. So how many bits is that number?
I don't know how many bits you can use for that.
Hey, you know, right? So
maybe we can use two of the same things for presenting.
Two of the same things of what?
The
Can
address.
that number be 2 power 16? Because then we can add 2 power 16 to 2 power 16 and access all.
Yeah, but then it will be only 2 power 16, right? Yeah, 2 power 16 plus 2 power 16 is not 2 power 32.
Like we are keeping it side by side, concatenation type we are saying, sir.
No, what did I write here? I wrote addition, right? Yeah, I know I am just like trying to confuse you, but you should not get confused. So I'm just adding it, right? So did at least everybody understand the question? Forget about the answer. Did you understand the question?
Yes, sir.
No. Okay, if just tell me with the poll whether you understood the question or you did not understand the question. If you didn't understand the question, it is that's more worrying than if you don't know the answer to it. Okay, a lot of people did not understand the question. Okay. Okay, so I'll repeat the question. Okay, maybe we'll repeat it here. Okay. I hope everybody is understanding that. So what do I have? An instruction which is called load world, whatever that register is. So let's say T2, 0, whatever T1. Right. So this is one of the instructions. So this is one of the instructions. Now this instruction cannot be directly given to this guy. Right? So I cannot tell him load world T2, 0, T, T1 because this guy cannot understand a word called load word, English called load word. So you have to convert it to something called machine code. Right? And there is this memory. So there's this small here, and there is this memory, and this memory is byte addressable. So which means that there are a huge number of bytes like this, right? So there is a byte here starting from here. So there are just bytes and bytes and bytes and bytes of data here. So the first byte is called the 0th byte. The address is 0. This is the second byte. This is the third byte, so on and so forth. So how many bytes are in this system? In this MIPS system, there are 2 power 32 bytes. So there are 2 power 32 bytes. So I need 32 bits, or I need 2 power 32 different addresses. Right? So I need 2 power 32 addresses to access a byte anywhere. So if I want to access, say, this byte, then I have to generate an address which is 0x3. Right? I have to generate an address 0x3. So similarly, if I have to access some byte here, which is 2 power 32 minus 1, I have to generate such an address. For this, I need 2 power 32 addresses, which means that implies that I need 32 bits, because using 32 bits, I can generate 2 power 32 different values. Okay. So this is the preamble. So I have this. Now I want to convert it into machine code. Why? Because this guy can understand only the machine code. And the MIPS architecture says that one of the ways the load instruction, the way to convert a load instruction, if it's an add instruction, the way to convert it is using this. There are only two types of instruction in MIPS. One is called R type instruction. The other is called I type instruction. The way to convert an instruction to machine code, if it's an R type instruction, which means that it is an add, subtract, division, whatever it is, then I use the bits accordingly, whatever is represented here. This I didn't come up with. This somebody who designed the MIPS architecture came up with. Of course, you came up with something different when you were designing an add and a subtract, right? So these guys have come up with something different. So this is the way I represent the bits when I'm converting assembly code to machine code. But if it's a load instruction, the MIPS architecture specification says that I have to convert it to something like this. What does it say? The 6 bits should be opcode. So if anyway, this is 32 bits. So the first 6 bits are opcode. Right. The other 5 bits is one register, maybe this register or whatever register. I'm not bothered about it. There is another register, 5 bits, and I have I have 16 bits as constant. So I have 16 bits as constant. So it says that this is constant value. Now, if you look at this, this is this 6 bits opcode in this for this instruction. For this instruction 1 is load word. This 5 bits is say T2. This other 5 bits is say T1, and the 0 was represented using 16 bits. It can be 0, or it can be 4, or it can be 8, it can be 3, it can be whatever it is. So when I say load word T2, 0, 0 of T1, it means that I will add 0 plus whatever is there in T1, go to that particular memory location. Let's say T1 was 4, then I go to this memory location, right, and read 4 bytes because I am saying load word. This is load word, which means that I have to load a word, and word is 4 bytes. So I go to that memory location and copy from there up till 4 bytes. I copy it into a register called T2. So if that value was some 3EFF, then T2 after this instruction will have 3EFF. So this is all that is there. So I am just doing a load word. So this is the base. I mean, this is the base. Now the question is this: how many bytes are there? There are 2 power 32 bytes in this entire thing. Right. But my question is that the constant is just 16 bits, which means that I can represent 2 power 16 different addresses. So which means that I can generate 2 power 6 addresses for different 2 power 16 different bytes, which means that I will be able to access only part of the memory. The other part of the memory I'm not able to access.
So I think the T1 is an address, right? And that has 5 bits. So that represents a register which has 32 bits. So you have access to 32 register.
Yes, right. So okay, before Debashis answer, did everybody understand this question now? At least the base of what I'm trying to tell you. So just keep in mind that you are always converting the assembly code to machine code, because that guy can understand only machine code. So I am converting it, and the MIPS architecture specification gives you a framework to convert it. So they have designed the architecture, so they know how this guy has been designed, which means that they know what language he understands, and the language he understands is the machine code, which has something like this. Now, how do I differentiate between an R type and an I type instruction? And that is left to that we'll figure out later if you're not understood. But I take my word for it that the load word is an I type instruction, so I convert it to something like this. So that's the base. Now the question was, since it's 16 bits, I should be able to access only 2 power 16, but I have 2 power 32 bytes. So how am I okay with it? You should not forget, as Debashi was saying, or somebody else also was saying, this register, right? So this register is 32 bits, right? So what am I doing? I am taking it. So when I'm saying 0 plus T1, I have 32 bits for T1 and 16 bits as the constant. So these 32 bits are here. This is T1, and the 16 bits are here. This is the constant. So I add. So I get how many bits? I get 32 bits, which means that I can generate an address with this particular thing. I can generate an address which is I can generate 2 power 32 addresses, which means that I can access any byte here. So that byte will be loaded in this T2, but it's not just a single byte. I will load the entire word because this instruction says load word, which means that from that byte, I have to load a word, and a word is 4 bytes. So it will load the entire word from here. Is that clear?
Sir, then why is it specifically 16 bits? Because at the end we are using that T1 register to access. Is it because we don't have like anything else to write, so we have 16 bits, the remaining 16 bits?
Okay, it's a good question. So can I make this 32 bits?
No, sir, because the
No,
entire
why? Because this entire thing is 32 bits. So this is 6 plus 5, 11, 11 plus 5, 16, right? So I'm left with 16 bits. Okay, that is one way to look at it, but that's not the end of the story. Let's say what is the advantage of, like, can anybody tell me what is the advantage of increasing the 16 bits? So let's say instead of 16 bits, somehow I had 17 bits. Let's just for the argument's sake, let's say it had 17 bits. What is the advantage of having 17 bits instead of 16 bits? Will you be able to access more memory?
No, sir.
No. So what is increasing for you?
That 0 guy.
Yeah. What is this 0 called?
His
This 0 is
range.
called offset.
Yeah,
Offset.
offset
right?
range.
Yeah, offset range. So I am just, so what am I saying? So I have a point. So let's say, okay, since it's a good question. Let's say T0 is 0, right? T0, let's say this T1 is 0. Right? Now this range is 16 bits, which means that from using T0, how many bytes can I access? See, T1 is 0. Let's assume for now that T1 is 0. Let's put T1 is 0. Okay. Then how many bytes can I access from 0, starting from here?
2 power 16.
Yeah,
2
2 power
power
16, only 2 power 16, right? So which means that I am able to access only this much range of data. Now, if I want to access something here, what should I change?
T1.
T1, right? So I have to say T1 is equal to 0 plus 2 power 16, and then take the offset. So I'm just limiting the offset, which is still okay for me, right? So I'm just limiting the offset for 16. So I am not losing anything or gaining anything by increasing the number. It's just that the range of that is enough for me. If I have an array which is stored in all these things, then I will be able to access only half of this, and the other half of it, I just have to change the base value. That's all.
Sir, is this the reason that why linked list takes more time? Because we have to change T2 every time, like T1
Yes.
every time.
Yes, right. So that is not just the reason. It's not just because of the memory. There's one more component that we'll see sooner. Not sooner, maybe in March, but yeah, we'll see about it. Yeah, there are multiple reasons for linked list taking much more time, but let's not know.
Sir, so the point of offset is just to access things faster.
Yeah, it's just an advantage for you to see. If we saw this, right? So we saw when we were designing our own architecture. If we didn't have this 0, what is the problem? I have to keep changing this base value always, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So here I have a constant, so I make it relative. That's all. I mean, that's the only advantage of it. So I just I have to change. What do you say? I can keep something relative. Okay, when we see an example, maybe you will understand what I'm trying to say. So I can just keep something relative. So the goal is to keep something relative. So this we saw in our architecture, why relative addressing is important, and the relative with an offset is also important. Maybe not now, maybe today, but sooner you'll see why this works out really good.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? Okay, let's assume that you guys understood. So there is one person who has said I haven't understood. I don't know who is that, but if you are not understood, I said I am ready to take a tutorial. Please feel free to put that in the feedback form, and we'll do what I have to do. So of course there are other operations called logical operations. So you might already know about it from the C programming perspective. This is called shift left. This is called shift right. When I do a shift left, what happens? So what is it equivalent to mathematically? If I shift left, let's say I had, yeah, let's say I have 1001, 1011, and I shift this entire thing by 1 bit, then let's say I had 0011, I had 3 here, I shift it by 1 bit. So if I shift it by 1 bit, then this becomes 0110, this becomes C, then this becomes into 2. Right. I am just increasing the power of every bit by 2. That's why I am shifting it by, right? So the power of a bit here is 2 power 0. The power of a bit here is 2 power 1. The power of a bit is here is 2 power 2. When I'm shifting, I am shifting the power of this bit from 2 power 0 to 2 power 1. I am shifting the power of this. When I'm shifting the power of what the bit represents for me. Right? So I'm shifting that. So that's why it gets multiplied by 2. If I right shift it, I am decreasing the power of the particular bit. So I am dividing it by 2. And AND means 011 101. If I AND do it, it's 11 is what is 11 in AND? Okay. 1. What is 10?
0.
0 0 1
0.
0. Right. I hope everybody knows the gates AND, NOT. Right. So NOT is just OR. So do you know any other gates?
XOR.
XOR.
Okay. Any other gates?
NAND, NOR.
XNOR.
Okay. NAND, NOR. So which is a universal gate?
NAND.
Why is it a universal gate?
Because you can represent,
yeah, you can represent any gate using NAND gate.
Yes, sir.
Right. So how many bits, how many gates do you need to represent an XOR gate using NAND gate? See, you said that NAND is a universal gate. And what is the definition of a universal gate? I can represent any gate using a NAND gate, which means that you should be able to represent an XOR function using NAND gate. So how many gates do I need?
Yes, sir. 1 second.
Oh, okay, you are calculating something. Okay, maybe that question is not actually bad, but anyway, let's say how many gates do you need to represent a NOT gate using NAND gate?
2, sir, I guess. 2.
No, just 1.
Just 1 or 2?
Oh, sir, 1, because we have to take 2 times of both the inputs at the same time.
Okay, I'm again worried. So since we have already brought this up, what's the use of using an XOR gate? So what does XOR tell you?
Both bits are same or different.
Yeah, both bits are same or different. And what's the use of using an AND gate?
If any one bit is 0 or not.
No, that is the use of, I mean, that is what AND gate does. But let's say you're writing a C program. Why do you need an AND gate? Why do I need an AND operator?
To check if both conditions are satisfied when you need everything to be satisfied.
No, right? Hey, that is what operator? Is it, do you write if? Do you write this? Do I write if condition 1 and condition 2?
Oh no, sir, that's a double AND.
The double AND, right? So what is this operator called?
The double AND or the single AND?
Double AND.
Logical AND.
Yeah, it's a logical AND, right? So I am just doing this. So this is, but I'm asking if I have an AND operator, if I give you an AND operator, which means that I give you a bitwise operator in C programming, what will you use it for?
Maybe to access one particular bit.
To see if a number is, to see if a number is order even.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Everybody's right. Yeah. Just try to think about it. I think you'll get an answer about it. Okay. But I hope, looking at your answers, I think you already know about all these things. But this should be only one thing I would say is you should have a tip. I mean, you should be on your tip that how many bits. If somebody asks you how many bits so if somebody asks you how many AND gates are needed to represent an XOR gate, you should be able to say that, and you should also figure out why that happens. I mean, what is so special about AND gate? Okay, this stopped working. So you should just try to understand what is so special about the NAND gate that it makes it a universal gate. So NAND gate is just an AND gate with a NOT, but it becomes a universal gate for some reason. Is NOR an XOR now NOR an universal gate?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 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 So my pen stopped working. So let's say I have given you a logical operator. So this S0 contains all zeros with 1001. So it has a value 9 in decimal. So I have zeros and 1001. If I give you this operation, shift left T2 S0 comma 4, I am taking this S0 and shifting it by 4, right? Which means that every bit is now increased. I'm increasing the power by 2 power 4, right? So that's what I'm doing. So you're increasing it by 1, 2, the other 2, other 2, and other 2, and it gets multiplied. So that's what I'm shifting the power by. So I'm shifting the power of every bit by 16. So now you can see that it becomes 9 into 2 into 2 into 2. That becomes 144. Right? So I am shifting left by this. Right? So I'm taking S0 and shifting it by 4. This is a very simple logical operation. So I can do an AND. I can just take an and give you what is the value here. Generally, bit operations are pretty important when you are doing embedded programming or doing low-level machine-level programming, even for a lot of other factors, because it's pretty fast. The reason it is pretty fast is because the assembly already has such instructions available to you. So you don't have to do anything. So instead of, let's say I want to do a multiplication by 4. Okay, I don't know why this stopped working. But let's say I want to do a multiplication of 4 or multiplication by 16. If I do this, of course, today's compilers are pretty efficient. They will convert it into a shift logical operation. But if you are generally stuck with a dumb compiler, if you are doing into 16, that will be given to a multiplier in the hardware. But a multiplier means that it will treat 16 as good as what it reads a 17, number 17, right? Which means that it will do a multiplication. It will do like what you know. It will do into 16 is what this and that, right? But I don't want to do this. It's I know that 16 is somehow different from 17, which means that I can just shift the bits. So it's much more faster because then it will just be translated to one single instruction in your for your machine, and that is like say shift left or whatever, right? So generally, bit operations are useful in that case. Of course, there are many other operations that will become useful. So if you see this, right? So I want to know only what. So there are 32 bits. I want to know what are the last 2 bytes. Then I can just do 0xFF, which means that I am picking whatever was there here. Yeah, it just stopped working. So whatever was there in the last 2 bytes, I'm just copying back here because I'm ANDing it with 1, and the others I'm keeping it 0. Today's homework, you can just try this while say of I equal to k and I plus equal to 1. So just try to convert this entire thing into an assembly code and try it out. We will discuss it in the next class. So the other thing that I wanted to discuss before we leave is about your project. We'll be posting the project in maybe a month, maybe a week or half. So the way the project is divided is it has 4 phases. So each group will be evaluated by 2 different groups that are picked randomly, which means that your own classmates or your own friends, they might be evaluating your project. And there will be marks for your project, the average of G1 plus G2, whatever the group came up with, plus whatever I say, like instructor says, right? So that X and Y will be dynamically decided. If I know that there is some kind of cheating that has happened, which means that you have told your friend to give you the full marks, if I figure that out, then the X value will become 0. Of course, there will be other repercussions, but the X value will become 0 and Y will be higher.